So what you need to do as a brand is you really need to understand the emotions that are associated with your products and make people feel that, because that immediately separates you from all the commoditized competitors that you have. And especially copycats. Your copycat competitor, sellers are not playing that game. They're just not. Your category has room for a leader. Like who's the leader in that category? It's the one telling the best story.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? My name is Caroline, and I am the Director of Marketing here at Trellis. Thank you so much for joining us for Beyond Discounts, Humanizing Prime Day 2025. I want to welcome all of you, as well as our fantastic panelists that I'm going to add here. We have Rob from VideoFresh and Owen from Levanta. So Rob, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Rob Wiltsey. I'm the founder of VideoFresh. I'm excited to be here.
Owen, all you.
Yeah. And I'm Owen. I'm the director of go-to-market at Levanta. And again, thanks Caroline for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. While we're still having a few people join us, I have to ask, are you guys shopping for anything this Prime Day?
I think so. Okay. I am definitely going to be shopping for some birthday presents for my son who's turning 7. So I'm kind of holding out for that. And I'm sure my wife is planning on some very key purchases for Prime Day as well. So I should touch base with her.
That's fair. What about you, Owen? You shopping? Oh no, did we lose Owen?
Oh no.
Okay.
But also, that's right, barbecue. That's
like a full grill, or are you gonna do one of those
I want to
like black top?
I do like the black tops because it kind of holds it maintains the flavor, right?
Yes, that is true. I've seen those everywhere. I love the taste of grilled food, but I'm not a grill master. So
that's right. Yeah. I do like the grill lines too. I feel like that adds something to the food. But yeah, so that's probably going to be a great Prime Day purchase for me. So I
think Owen's gonna check on his connection and then pop back when he can. For me, at least for Prime Day, I usually stock my cart ahead of time with all the things that I've been wanting. I fear that my Roku at my house is on its last leg, and they usually do a sale around Prime Day. So if anyone else shopping for anything during Prime Day, what are you selling? Are you running discounts this Prime Day? Is there anything we need to be on the lookout for? Drop it in the comments. In case you didn't see the comments, we are recording this, so you will get a replay. It'll be public on the Trellis blog. Levanta, as well as VideoFresh, will have access to it as well. But keep an eye on your email for that. And if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. We're watching that throughout. We're going to give Owen just a couple more minutes before we dive in. So let us know where you're joining from. We've got a full house today, which is super exciting. This webinar, I was actually on a call with Rob and his colleague Dan when we were just talking about what VideoFresh does. And I said, oh my goodness, an epiphany about the content of this. This is an age of AI where, videos are AI, images are AI. People are throwing everything into ChatGPT. So the idea behind this is helping all of you here today humanize what you're doing, because while things are being done faster and automatically, people still like to do business with people. And so that element in your branding and in your marketing is going to make all the difference. Miguel asked a great question while we are waiting for Owen. Does it make sense to start your promotions, next week or ahead of Prime Day and call it a pre-Prime Day sale? Rob, what do you think about that?
That's a great idea. I think it's going to touch on a lot of what we're going to talk about today, which is that you want to stand out. And I think that a pre-Prime Day sale is a way, Prime Day is all about doing something special. It's like a special occasion to really offer great deals. But as we're going to talk about, do so much more than that. I think that a pre-Prime Day special, I mean, that's obviously something you could choose to do to get attention. I think that's a really creative idea. And of course, it all depends on also strategically. I know that there's so many things this year that sellers are really trying to balance, things like maybe people are trying to balance inventory, maybe people are trying to balance, profitability. I mean, there's so many other things that are going to go beyond the topic here for Prime Day. So if you can really, if that's something you can afford to do and actually extend your Prime Day a week early, I mean, that would get my attention. So.
Yeah, and that's great. Welcome, Owen. It isn't a live event without a few technical difficulties.
I was going to say, apparently Spectrum Internet didn't want to hear about me buying a rice cooker on Prime Day. We got everything reset and we're back.
And we had a question. We'll introduce all of our companies. I realized I didn't do that. So for anyone, we all invited all of our audiences. So Caroline from Trellis, and Trellis is a full funnel profitability platform that helps on Amazon, Walmart, as well as other D2C websites help with your advertising, dynamic pricing, all with the goal of growing your margins and putting more money in your pocket. So Rob, can you talk a little bit more about what VideoFresh does?
Absolutely. So VideoFresh, we've been around since 2016, creating videos for your entire funnel for all of your products. Videos are an incredibly powerful way to increase traffic, increase conversions, and to really boost your brand. And so whether that's DSP ads, sponsored brands video ads, listing page videos, storefront videos, meta ads, there's so many videos that you need in your funnel. And so VideoFresh is kind of your one-stop shop to get high-performing videos across that whole funnel.
And Owen, a little pitch on Levanta.
Yeah. So at Levanta, we're the affiliate marketing platform for marketplace sellers. So we help sellers launch, scale, and manage affiliate programs, which is essentially the ability to work with third-party promoters like influencers, media publications, media buyers, and more, drive external traffic back to your storefront, all on a CPA commission basis. So very performance-driven bottom funnel payout method to work with third-party external promotional channels.
And you guys just launched Walmart functionality, right? Within the last month or two?
In a very closed beta. So right now, very much focused on Amazon.
Okay, that's totally fine. Sorry if that was a cat out of the bag. I thought I saw something on LinkedIn.
No, but right now, focused on Amazon. But yeah.
Right, that makes sense. Amazon, I think, is all of our bread and butter, though VideoFresh, of course, thinks beyond the marketplaces. So let's get into the meat of things. There are more questions coming in. Yes, please keep them coming. We will get to them, but I want to also ensure that we get into Humanizing Prime Day. So with that being said, for each of you guys, and Rob, we'll start with you. What does it mean to humanize a sales event?
Yes.
Why does it really matter?
Yes. What does Humanizing Prime Day mean to me? Well, I think that Humanizing Prime Day is all about being more than price. It's more than a discount day. It's more than just a race to the bottom with price. Your customers are excited to see what deals you're going to have. I think that the big opportunity that most brands miss is the opportunity to really stand out and tell the story about your customers, tell the story about the products and how it really changes the lifestyle and the life that the brand envisions for the customer. Think of Prime Day like the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is this big event. It's this occasion for a brand to say something. And I think that Prime Day can absolutely be just like that. And I think that what brands should probably really think about is how can you use Prime Day to do something, anything more than just drop your prices? And I think there's so many different ideas that I know the three of us were brainstorming on our last call. So I have some ideas that we can kind of dive into. But I think doing something a little bit unexpected, and you can do that. And this actually speaks to Miguel's question, which I love. Can we market can we do marketing with PPC and Meta about pre-Prime Day? Is it accepted for Amazon? I'm gonna answer Miguel's question right now, real quick, as part of this, because I think it's a good question, which is you actually cannot market Prime Day. As far as I understand, you cannot market Prime Day on Amazon in your content. You can do that off Amazon on things like Meta. You can also do it to also the Amazon's managed ad service might do that for you, but your self-serve ads and all that kind of stuff, they're very touchy about that stuff. So how do you actually do this then? How do you actually market Prime? How do you tell a story during Prime Day while not mentioning Prime Day? Well, there's really no limits off Amazon for how you can do that. So if you're running Meta ads, that's a fantastic place to do it. But also just maybe with the experience on your pages, when they get to your pages and your listing pages in your storefront, really doing something that feels special and that feels tied to some sort of purpose for your brand beyond just price. And I'll save a couple ideas that I have on this. I'll just leave it there for now. But I think do something different that your customers are not expecting on Prime Day. And I just think it's a great place to stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. And just adding on a little bit to what Rob said there, but I think we're both very aligned that this whole idea of humanizing Prime Day is just how do you connect with your audience or potential audience in something that's not related to price, right? So I think for a lot of brands, they may, discount as much as possible and then rely on consumers flocking to Amazon in droves and sorting by biggest discount or biggest deal. But there's a lot of low-hanging fruit to be had by getting your brand out there in the lead up to Prime Day and on Prime Day in channels that aren't just discounts, right? So obviously I'm coming there from an affiliate world or an influencer world. There's other contents, like you said, about Meta, handful of others, but it's crafting that story, getting in front of eyeballs and selling yourself in a way that's just not, hey, I'm offering the biggest discount in this vertical and you're going to find me by applying the filter during one of these 4 days. Yeah, I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, I think I know we've talked about getting into a couple examples. One of my favorites, and this is dating the amount of time that I have spent in the Amazon world, was Cards Against Humanity. I think it was like 2017, 2016, actually increased their prices for Prime Day, that they took that stand and said, no, we have a quality product, you know our name, you're going to buy it if you want it, kind of thing. And that was one of those branding, humanizing elements that stood out on a day that's all about discounts, and they went the exact opposite direction. So Rob, let's get into one of your examples.
Yeah, I love that. I actually love that example because it gets attention, right? And I think, even if some people go, well, why are you raising prices? I want a discount. Attention is almost always good. I would say that's a good attention to get because you're sort of Prime Day is all about a day to get attention. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, a lot of sellers are going to take a cut, right? They're going to actually, maybe lose some margin or whatever this is all a marketing day essentially. And I think that's something that it's all a day to get more eyeballs on your brand. I think another interesting play that came to mind, if you're a brand that is maybe either directly associated with some kind of a cause, or you could be affiliated with a cause, and I think any brand could do this. Maybe your Prime Day deal is, hey, a certain amount of money from every sale is actually going to a cause, like it's going to a nonprofit or some kind of thing. Like that's interesting. Now you're actually being on mission and doing something meaningful, and maybe you do that in conjunction with a discount that goes on to the customer. But still, I think that is something people love to support causes, and that might be a more meaningful play for Prime Day.
When I worked at another software company previously, around the holidays, we worked with our clients. It was hitting the time where increased storage fees were going to hit the longevity of products that had been on the shelves. And so we said, hey, end of year, if you need to move things, let's donate it to Toys for Tots. And so we managed to collectively donate between all of our clients more than $100,000 worth of toys to local Toys for Tots organizations. And that was amazing publicity for all of these participating companies. And so the philanthropic angle is absolutely a way to stand out, make some noise. it's funny within our company, marketing, where the department where I work is often asked, can you make some noise about this? And, we've mentioned standing out and that kind of thing. So what are kind of effective marketing strategies beyond the discounts to help stand out? Oh, and I want to start with you on this one, especially in your work with influencers and affiliate marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best part about running any type of external channel is, number one, tapping into new audiences, but also getting eyeballs in a location that, specifically with Prime Day, kind of like I mentioned earlier, aren't there solely sorting by price or looking for, the cheapest possible offering, right? So like we saw last year, number one, obviously our sellers are going to do well, but we saw something like a 10x increase in revenue across Prime Days from external channels, as well as like a 4x increase in conversion rate and everything else. So if you're able to get these relationships and build your storytelling and build your promotion, you're going to tap into all these eyeballs that are on other channels than Amazon. And you're still going to have the increased conversion rate, right? Because if they click through and see a deal, they're still going to buy, but you're not solely dictating how many eyeballs you get from discounting, right? So I think just leaning on the community, your direct influencer relationships, affiliate via publications everywhere else is a larger audience and a way to drive those increased conversions even without the biggest discount on the market.
And Owen, what's your take on macro, micro influencer levels? Because obviously every brand wants to come out and have some big name like Steph Curry to talk about their product, but that isn't always feasible. So kind of how does that work?
I think that's the exact question right there, is how feasible is that for your brand? Like, obviously you're able to get in with Steph, like you're going to get a lot of eyeballs. He's got a lot of fans, but I don't think that's a reality for most brands. They don't have the budget for it, especially if they're going to be cutting their margins pretty substantially for Prime Day. And we have seen a lot of success going for the more, mid-tier and long tail influencer and partner route, especially when you are very particular about finding people within your niche, right? So call it an Instagram influencer, a blogger, a Facebook group. If all they talk about day in and day out is their love of gardening or their life as a mom, like a Facebook mom group, when they go ahead and say, hey, I'm loving this product, it's on sale for Prime Day, they've got a captive audience of 10, 50, 200,000 followers who are in your target niche, trust their recommendations and the content they have, and are willing to go purchase that product because it's on sale, right? So I think if you give yourself enough time and you put in that effort to really dial into the niche specific micro mid-tier creators, it can be as effective and honestly probably a good bit cheaper than going solely for those macro giant celebrity influencers.
I know I tend to trust the people with fewer followers if they are talking about something like, yes, this I do. The other people, they definitely got paid to talk about this. Rob, do the lines ever blur? Do clients bring in influencers to do recorded content with you guys?
Yeah, for sure. So the influencer, so like we don't do a ton of like the UGC stuff, right? That's, even though it is video content and it plays a really important role, that's usually not the kind of video, like we recommend other kinds of services to get that done. So, but sometimes we kind of fake it. We create something that feels just like an influencer. And sometimes we've definitely like cast people and done kind of influencer style content, where it kind of feels like UGC or whatever. But I think a lot of the time, we always recommend, that's usually at the request of the client. Like we always recommend like just find real customers or influencer programs like that we recommend and stuff like that. And that's definitely Owen's area, I would say. But yeah, I think that you want your UGC to be authentic. You want it to, everyone kind of knows when they see a paid influencer, and I think that's fine. I think that if you can, I think real customer testimonials or people that really use the product, I think that authenticity always kind of comes through. I had an interesting, Miguel's just out here asking, oh, Lorna's here. Lorna, thanks for joining. So Miguel had a great question I wanted to touch on first, because he's come with really great questions. So he's talking about if he's doing a pre-Prime Day. Am I supposed to answer as we like address questions?
Yes, please. Let's do it.
don't want to throw off the format here, but okay. So he's saying if he's already running a pre-Prime Day, then like when actual Prime Day comes around, what's the play there? If it's already Prime Day, what could you add? Because obviously you wouldn't want to have a further discount anyway, even if you could, because then everyone's just going to wait for that day, not the pre-Prime Day. So you have to do something else, right? So the Prime Day deal should be just like the same across the whole. Like if you're going to do a pre-Prime Day, that discount should just be the discount through however long you're going to run through Prime Day and everything. What you could do, there's a whole different world that totally goes beyond video, but it could include videos or whatever. But where you're essentially, if you have a way to, and this comes down to if you're able to like track customers, right? So if there are some interesting ways of getting customers to engage with the brand through like a QR code in the box, right? This is a whole new world. This is a whole new topic, but like you could do something where, hey, if you're buying these products like during this window of time, you can actually do, maybe you put a little card in the box. There's a QR code. They can scan that code. Now they're opting into some sort of Prime Day activity or some type of Prime Day related brand engagement where and now we could just brainstorm, right? But basically you could be like collecting their stories, telling other customers stories. They could be donating or getting involved with other good causes or something like that. You could like take them on this whole brand journey through that. And that could be something that's related to actual Prime Day, for example. But I think what you don't want to do, and as you said, you probably don't have the margin anyways, like have even a lower discount on actual Prime Day. Mm-hmm. So I think that was just my feedback on that.
I think it also yields to one of my favorite marketing strategies. It didn't throw off the flow at all. We came full circle here. In that you want to tap into your owned audiences. So on selling on Amazon or these other marketplaces, you don't technically own your customer. There are avenues like Amazon Marketing Cloud where you get that information. You can build targeting and advertising audiences off of it, which we here at Trellis highly recommend because it is super effective. But you want to build a social media community. You want to build an email list, being able to utilize people who already know and love your brand. If I would say that is a more advantageous run, join our mailing list to get a 10% off coupon on Prime Day. That's going to be a stronger play than offering maybe that pre-Prime Day discount.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Completely agree. Yeah. I wondered if Owen, do you do creator connections? Is that something?
I just saw
a great question about that. Yeah.
I just saw Lorna's question there. And yeah, that's one of the 2 Amazon like attribution channels we're tapped into with Levanta. So Lorna, yes, absolutely. I recommend doing creator connections work. I recommend doing it through Levanta. But regardless, that's that idea, right? Where it's, hey, taking these communities of influencers, everyone else who are looking to promote brands they believe in, getting your products in front of them, setting a commission rate that's healthy for your margin, and getting them up and running ahead of Prime Day so their audiences hear about it, their audiences are queued up, and generally your brand's out there, again, like I keep saying, but in channels and in front of audiences that aren't just strictly like within the Amazon platform on Prime Day looking for discounts. Yes, creator connections and attribution are kind of the 2 channels that we work through to enable that affiliate marketing.
Nice.
Sweet.
That's great. And I'm also really loving the support that's happening in the chat. People are talking back and forth. So this is great. Keep the questions coming. Keep communicating with people. Ooh, Owen, this is a question for you from Katie. How far before Prime Day should we be telling your affiliates about the deals that are being run?
Today, as soon as you just got to think about it. Like anyone you're trying to work with, like we keep talking about influencers and they obviously have to film content or take pictures or write up a Facebook post. But some of these other really strong channels are media publications who are making top 10 lists or writing up blogs or anything else. That takes time. Maybe it's a media buying partner who's going to go out and plan to buy non-branded search and social terms, right, to get you listed in a top 10 list or anything else. All of their planning takes time in advance, and they need to evaluate all these different sellers for who's going to be most profitable for them as well. So the sooner you get ahead of them, the sooner you load up your deals so they know what to expect and what copy to create and everything else, the better. And literally, start it today, or if you're just looking to get into it, as soon as possible.
And Rob, that also, you and I were talking before we hopped on about kind of your video production cycle. And that is really in line with what you guys do, where you peak in spring ahead of these summer sales events, and again in fall ahead of Q4. So, if people are looking to create new videos for their ads, their meta, anything like that, is there still time for them to be able to tap into this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And when are we expecting this to be landing?
So
They have not announced it,
I was so hopeful Amazon would have announced Prime Day by now, because they usually do it 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time. I think last year it was the 15th, 16th. And so this year, July 4th is on a Friday. So that next Monday is the 7th. But I think it's going to end up being the week of the 15th, I'm sorry, that's how my brain does calendars. We're also looking at the 4-day Prime Day this year. So we're about a month out.
Anthony's saying 8th to the 11th.
Ooh, hot take there. Or do you have insider information that we
Anthony's
don't have?
got intel.
Anthony?
Yeah, we were keeping an eye out. Yeah, the three of us have no idea when it is. So
no.
I
ask every time I'm on a call with someone from Amazon, I'm like, can you tell us?
Yeah.
Because I know we've talked a lot about Amazon, but even other big box retailers, I think Wayfair does it, Walmart does it, Target does it, and Walmart and Target at least have done a full week, I think, in 2024. And so this is Amazon rising to the occasion, doubling the extent of their Prime Day. Do you guys think this is going to have a big impact on the sales? We're going out of order in our prepped questions.
No,
but how do you think this extended Prime Day is going to affect sellers?
Yeah, it's interesting to me. I have mixed feelings about the extent. Is this have they done a 4-day in the past? Is this the first one?
No, this would be the first one.
Yeah. My personal take is it's kind of a mixed bag. It gives more people an opportunity to take advantage of it. And at the same time, you as a seller now have to offer discounted items for longer, I suppose. And on top of that, it also decreases, I guess, the urgency. If something's a 1-day event, you kind of need to, you really got to strike while the iron's hot. If something's a 4-day event, it's I'll do it tomorrow. And that might actually, I'm curious to see, and these sellers in here will have to let us know how that ends up affecting their sales. Is a 1-day event, is that just such a hot day that somehow that actually outperforms a 4-day thing? I'm curious what the customer psychology is behind that. If it brings as many people to the buy box.
When we did a Prime Day deep dive webinar after the event last year, you can find on our website if anyone is interested in watching it. And the amount of eyeballs on day one of the 2-day Prime Day was almost 2x of the second day. And so, yeah, is it gonna taper off, or are people gonna wait to see what comes through, kind of thing? To be I'll wait, I'll get the last discount, kind of aiming for that bargain bin type of idea. Yeah. Owen, do you have any thoughts on what this 4-day is going to do?
Yeah, I mean, just obviously completely theorizing here. First off, given that these other marketplace and retailers are already doing a week, I feel like that's probably pretty soon in Amazon's future. I feel like we're joking around, but they don't seem like the type to just let themselves get one up by anybody else. So wouldn't be surprised if we're up to a whole week of Prime Day. But yeah, I think just to your point, it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out, whether a lot of these sellers can afford to just deep discount all 4 days, or like you said, they choose 1 day, but then the consumer focus there is fractured because it is spread out. If you decide to do your big discount on a day that not everyone's tuned in, or it's only a fraction of the audience tuning in, how that kind of affects the bottom line and how much brands are actually moving here. So it seems like an experiment, right? I can't imagine these brands can afford to deep discount for 4 days straight, but maybe they can and just have to play the game.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's gonna get in there for sure. Now I want to give each of you, I know we've tapped into your expertise separately, but I also want to ensure that our audience is able to really learn about what both of your companies do. So Owen, we'll start with you. We've talked a little bit about influencers and creators in the broader space.
Yeah.
But can you get into how to choose the ones that work best for particular brands and how you can ensure that they are helping to humanize their brand and not commoditize it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a good question. I mean, how our platform works just from like a logistic level, which I hope will help answer this a little bit. But when you get signed up, again, we're integrated with Amazon through both attribution and creator connections. We're going to pull all of your products into our platform, and then you can go through and load up the commission rates you're willing to pay on a product level and any future deals you're running. So especially this time of year, you get set up, you set those commissions, say, hey, I'm running these deals on these dates, and all of that flows into our marketplace. Now, within Levanta as well, we have our marketplace of sellers on one side, and then we have our marketplace of affiliates, which count over 30,000 across, again, influencers, media publications, media buyers, and the like. And you're able to go and filter through that marketplace by product type, promotional method, follower count on specific social media platform, and a handful of others to actually go and invite them to your program. Those creators on the other side of the market at the same time are filtering through all the brands and products by, again, those same metrics. And then they're able to actually apply to join your program. So you send invites or you approve or reject applications based on, again, if you're doing your homework and actually kind of getting into the nitty gritty by vertical, by content type, everything else, to make sure that your pool of affiliates in your program are the correct fit for your brand. The other side of that token is, hey, because you're only paying them out a percentage of the sales they drive, some people just open the floodgates and say, hey, if you're not a good fit, you're not going to sell any product and I don't know you a dime. You get them in, you get the right fit in the door. We have product sample fulfillment in just a few clicks. So if you do want to send any products, we're integrated with the seller API, so you can just fulfill them right through the platform. And then we also handle all tracking and commissioning. So really a lot of your legwork is in upfront identifying the creators, messaging them, getting them queued up. And then their actual performance and payout and everything else is automated for you. So it is kind of a manual lift for the sellers, to be very clear, but you will begin inbound, and we give you those tools to filter down to find the affiliates you want to invite and work with.
For sure. I will say that I am signed up as a creator affiliate. And it's really intuitive. Brands, it's, from what I have received, very communicative, very far in advance. You can be as detailed as possible. So if anyone is considering it, it's a great platform. I've been part of many creator type platforms, and this one is definitely one of the most intuitive for creators, which makes people more willing and likely to promote and talk about a product.
Which is the whole goal, right? Yeah. So try and make that as easy as possible on the creator side. Just one real quick. I see Miguel had a question I just want to answer on the topic, but he said, if I'm already working with UGC, what will be the advantage to work with you? They're kind of two separate fields. They can have some overlap, especially when you're talking with influencer, but where UGC is oftentimes, a flat feed placement, finding an influencer, having them make content, and then you promoting it with paid ad spend or posting it on your own channels or anything else. This is almost the opposite side of the coin there, where it's influencers or other affiliates finding your products, promoting you, and then they're incentivized to almost be mini salesmen for you, right? They're only earning a commission on sales they directly drive as the last click. So instead of you identifying content, creating that together, owning that distribution, you're finding the right affiliates, but then they're able to take your products that they think relate to their audience and promote you and are responsible for the sales themselves. So your payout's a little lower, and almost the onus for who's kind of promoting and owning that is flipped a little bit as well.
That's great. Keep dropping any questions for Owen. We do have time, but Rob, talking about video content and how can you utilize video to tell a human story? You're casting people. How do you best do that?
Yeah. And so there's a funnel, right? So your customers are going to go on a journey of discovering your products. And throughout that journey, there are a lot of different, like, really important types of touch points. And so at the very top, you have, kind of if someone's invested in, DSP or CTV or, streaming TV, things like that. So that's for brands, that takes a certain amount of spend, but that's like tippy top. That's where you want to grab them with your brand. That's when you really want to make them feel something, and not necessarily just about your products, but kind of about the lifestyle around your products. Every single product has an emotional human center to it, like a core. So it doesn't even matter what you're selling. Like if you're selling a doorknobs, you're like, well, what's so emotional about a doorknob? Well, safety, security for your family, convenience. You can type in a code and get in your house. If it's like a keypad doorknob or whatever, that's on my mind because there's a recent project we did. But it's like you can do this with any product. So what you need to do as a brand is you really need to understand the emotions that are associated with your products and make people feel that, because that immediately separates you from all the commoditized competitors that you have. And especially copycats. Your copycat competitor, sellers are not playing that game. They're just not. Your category has room for a leader. Like who's the leader in that category is the one telling the best story about that category of a product. That's my belief. So that's what you have to do at the top. Now they care. They've taken some action, or they're getting retargeted, right? So what do they get? What do they want to? What should they see next? What they should see next is that next level of understanding about the product. What are the features? What are the benefits? How does it actually work? What are maybe answer that next level of question in kind of the middle funnel. Maybe a customer testimonial, right? Once you get towards the bottom of the funnel, then they need to that now you're getting real tactical. So if they type in, so sponsored brands video ads is one of the most powerful and underappreciated ad products on the internet, like on or off Amazon. The reason for that is customer intent is 10 out of 10. So they are literally typing in what they're about to spend money on. Like they are literally, especially with a long tail keyword. So if someone's typing in, black foldable duffel bag, they are only, they type that in, black foldable leather duffel bag. Okay. That's a very specific thing. Every one of your keyword sets has keywords like this. Those long tail details are where the money is, because what they're doing is they're telling you what they're going to click on. They're only going to click on the result that demonstrates it's foldable, it's leather, maybe waterproof, whatever they're typing in. So the video ad that you serve against any set of keyword, like you could pick all the waterproof keywords and make a video ad that's just like showing water pouring, rolling off the bag, right? That is what that customer is looking for. They're literally just looking for evidence that it's waterproof. They're scrolling through all that. So what can that video do that all of the little photos on a white background can't do? That's another really interesting question to ask. How can you make your video the most relevant thing on that search result? So we play this game with brands in every category, and we consistently outperform what they've done in the past through kind of this data-driven approach with that. So you can see like every video kind of has a different role to play. Now we're all the way at the bottom. We're on the product detail page. They click through. So I'm giving the whole pitch, but on the product detail page, they have opted in. They want to watch. They go, yes, this is the product I want. Well, why aren't they just going to the buy box? Because there still remain a few unanswered details that they want to validate. All that listing page video should do is it could be as long as you want. It could be 30 seconds, 2 minutes. It doesn't really matter. Your customer that's watching that, they click on it. They want to know every last little feature and benefit about your product. You can't be too long-winded. Just be super clear. Talk, objections. Why do people return the product? You can address that stuff. Any misconceptions about your product. And then you're going to see some real results. You're going to see some conversions on that. So that's what we do with every brand, is kind of like that full funnel strategy and the content creation. So it doesn't matter if you're doing generative AI with that. It doesn't matter if you're doing animated, live action. We can do all of those. But at the end of the day, it's like the video has a job to do. And we make sure it does that job. So
that's so important. One thing I want to touch on, because you both got into it in different ways, is kind of the capital, not just financial, but also human capital required to implement these additional ideas around humanization. We are in an age where, I've asked people a particular question and the answer is ask ChatGPT. So we're trying to expedite these workflows and save time and money where we can. But, working with influencers, creating new videos, both require human financial capital. How are you encouraging your clients or your prospects to prioritize? Obviously, I'm big fans of both of these, big fans of tying in humans to your brand. So yeah, I will defer to you guys. Owen, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the short answer is there's no getting around some level of investment, right? Like, I think any channel that's worth it, especially in this regard, is going to require some manual investment and you can't just automate away. I think where you can do yourself a lot of good is if you preemptively take the steps to build a third-party promotional channel or build out, again, some of your video resourcing. Or a big thing I love, regardless of whether it's affiliate or not, is community, right? So what you're talking about, where whether it's, hey, social media, it's an Instagram page, it's a Discord, it's a newsletter, X, Y, and Z, having those channels set up and running continuously, then when you come around to this time of year where you need to gear those up, it's a much lower lift than, hey, I need to go spend all my money or use all of my, human capital and hours in a day to almost artificially build this community in the week or two before Prime Day, right? So I think it's kind of part of an ongoing effort to build that community. Is probably the biggest way to see those long-term dividends and save yourself a headache every time one of these holidays or, sale events come around.
Right. It helps you stop reinventing the wheel every time.
Exactly.
Rob, for videos.
Yeah. So is the question was like how like being like resourceful with your investment, like on the content?
We're obviously telling people to try and do new things, but that comes with risk, involvement, all those kinds of things. So how do you negotiate that objection?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's no getting around a certain level of risk with like Owen said as well, with the investment at least. So I think that what people are going to be tempted to do so here's what I see right now. I see more and more and more cheaper, faster, easier, simpler ways to get content. That's the way that the world is going right now. What that is going to do is it's going to make, first of all, everyone's going to have the same content. What is a video doing? You're trying to make a human being see the content, stop them in their tracks and go, whoa, and like pay attention and then be moved enough to take an action. The way you don't do that is by looking exactly like everything else in their feed and everything else they're seeing all day, which is exactly what these tools will do. They will make everything, they will level the playing field. Everyone has the exact same looking UGC or the exact same looking, generative AI content with one button. Anytime you're doing a one button and get a piece of content thing, you are getting the lowest common denominator content. So you can try that and maybe, and you will probably get a certain level of results. I think that, and I don't think that effective content means more expensive content either. So like, I think that you can have incredibly powerful content that you film on your phone. Just put in either pay someone who knows how to do it, or if you're going to do it, really get inspired about what is your customer, why do your customers buy your product? And what is their story and what are their pain points? Also look at what all your competitors are doing and make sure that if there's one thing, just don't do exactly what all your competitors are doing. Do something different that's going to get their attention. So if everyone in your category is doing silly ads, do a serious ad. If everyone's in your category is doing a serious ad, do a silly ad, like things like that. Stand out in the space. So to me, an effective piece of content, whether it's UGC, whether it's, something more produced or anything in between, an effective piece of content is going to be ROI positive because it's effective. It's getting, don't make content just to make content. Like this should always be ROI positive, or it's not you haven't made the right piece of content. And I think that's what everyone's kind of missing in this moment with content is content's getting so easy. Push a button. Here's a video generator. Here's this, here's that. yes, it costs you less, and it's kind of lacking, in my view, the types of things that make a video effective if there's not any creative inspiration behind that. And it just takes work. It takes work. It takes wrestling with creative ideas, and brands can do that on their own and try to make that content. They can make it on their phones. I think that, like, there's also banner blindness, right? So, like, if you don't want your ads to even feel like ads, you want your ads to feel like human, like the topic of this event. So I think that that's a big way to say, like, instead of getting caught up in, oh, I got to spend this money, I got to have content, is like kind of back up a little bit and be like, there does exist content that is going to be very effective because of what and your customers better than anyone, and what would your customer need to see right now that would stop them in their tracks and move them along. So I would encourage people to, yes, recognize that it is risky, but also focus on the upside and what's possible. So
just one last thing I want to add there, just thought of it while Rob was talking there, but a key call out I do want to have too is that while to do a lot of this right, it does take investment and time and all of that. I will also say ahead of Prime Day, speaking specifically for myself, just start, right? Just try. There's no better time to get feedback and see what works than around these massive spikes in attention and eyeballs. So again, maybe you're not going to have the most robust, fleshed out affiliate program, community, ads, videos, etc. But what better time to see what works and get feedback and iterate, going forward than around this. So just want to have that caveat alongside, hey, be doing this forever, but also if you're just getting started, do it and see what works, right?
It's a great way to get a lot of data, and it also yields into our last question of the day. So that's not to say we won't do Q&A. If anything has come up that we haven't addressed so far, drop it in the chat. And while you guys are doing that, I do want to ask our panelists, since we are about a month out, and this might have been your feedback or your tip. What is one tip that people can still action ahead of Prime Day in July?
Yeah, gonna sound like a broken record, but just start, right? Like, in whatever capacity, any type of affiliate effort, influencer effort, even kind of off Levanta community effort, all of that, something's always better than nothing, right? And again, if you can get something up and running in the next few weeks, you can see what that data says, you can see what the feedback is, and be all the better for fall Prime, holidays, next year, etc. So it sounds almost too simple, but like, biggest piece of advice is just like start as soon as you can, even though we're still a month out.
What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I would kind of say, use it as an opportunity to think beyond the price. Like we kind of opened up with, like, use it as an opportunity to really reflect on your brand and on your products and the role that it plays in the lives of your customers. That's, the topic being humanizing Prime Day. I think that it's all about an opportunity to send a fresh message to your customers. And you can do that on Amazon, if you don't mention Prime Day, unfortunately, or you can do it off Amazon and kind of say whatever you want. But I think that at the end of the day, this is your Super Bowl. If you treat it that way, you are going to very quickly stand out from everyone else in the space. And so if you already have those channels set up, if you already have your meta going, if you already have, CTV or DSP or YouTube or whatever else you have, or TikTok, right? Whatever else you have going on, leverage those channels. It's probably not time to, make a new channel at this point. So, but if you need any assistance with content, there actually is time to get that. Just a shameless plug. We can help you have content in time for Prime Day. But that's all I would say is just make sure that you are taking a step back, taking a deep breath, thinking about that opportunity from a brand perspective. I think brand is like the last frontier it's the last big arbitrage differentiator that brands have, that sellers have. And so Prime Day is a great day for that.
I think that's good. One of the ones that I always recommend is that you go back to basics, because there are people absolutely try new things, but I couldn't tell you the number of times I've hit a listing or been served an ad that isn't relevant to that particular sales event. It's June now, and I think I got a Valentine's Day ad within the last couple of weeks. go through, double check all these things, because that we want to bolster and build your brand and humanize it. And that says, whoops, I forgot I'm not keeping a close eye on my business. And you definitely don't want those optics. We had a question from Katie for Owen, specific to Levanta, as we're wrapping up here. Should we just message all of our affiliates about deals for Prime Day now, even though we don't know when it is? If we add a deal now, we do need to put in a date, which we don't yet have. So how do you recommend navigating that?
Yeah, I mean, specifically for the deal dates, like if you load up and you're pretty confident it's the 8th to 11th, which it sounds like we got intel for, do that. And if something changes, you can change that deal date. Like that's pretty simple on the back end. I'd say, again, just in regards to contacting everyone, yeah, the more you're in contact, the more transparent, communicative you are, whether that's in platform or you export your partner email addresses and start a newsletter or something of the sort. Getting in front of it, being prepared, communicating frequently leading up to Prime Day is 10 out of 10. Good strategy, good practice there.
Great. I think those were all of the questions that we've seen come in. We won't hold anyone any longer than we need to. Thank you guys all so much for joining us today. Thank you, Rob and Owen, of course, for sharing your expertise. If you need to work with Levanta or VideoFresh, which I highly recommend, or Trellis, you can find us all on LinkedIn, find us on our websites. We'll include contact information in the follow-up after this event, and people will be reaching out accordingly. We hope everyone has a wonderful Prime Day. Rob, Owen, any final words?
No, did you pitch Trellis on this call?
Yeah, at the beginning, we're old.
Okay.
We're old hat.
I didn't want you to get left out of that. That's all.
Owen, any last words?
No, I think I'm all set. Thanks for having us, and thank you everyone for joining.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.